Good morning. Welcome to a public and premium video discussion. As you know, we are keeping an eye on Tropical Storm Henri, which is currently to the south and southwest of Bermuda. And the forecasting question involved with it, in which yesterday afternoon, the lovely GFS produced a very interesting solution which kind of got everyone's attention, which took Henri right into Long Island. And there has been questions as to whether or not this storm could impact the northern mid-Atlantic, southern New England, or just stay out in the Atlantic. So what I wanted to do is just combine the discussions and also the discussion I do for Fire Island and beyond, since it focuses on Long Island, and just go through the data. I'm not going to go through every model, but this is basically a consolidated discussion on what we discussed last night in the premium chat on the factors involved here, and then we'll go through the forecast as well. So right now we have the remnants of Fred lifting through the region. Earlier this morning, some of you may have been woken up by tornado warnings, especially around central Jersey. I know I did, right around Trenton and Freehold, and up towards the Hudson River Valley. And we had some very heavy rainfall over northeastern Pennsylvania. Around 3 inches of rain was reported. So that certainly panned out, and now that storm is rapidly lifting to the northeast. Some very heavy rainfall around Connecticut. Temperatures over the interior range from the lower to mid 70s along the coast, upper 70s to lower 80s. It's kind of muggy out there because it's a tropical air mass. And we can see that pretty clearly here on our latest surface analysis from the SPC. Plenty of tropical moisture. A lot of tropical moisture is in place. When you have precipitable water values going over 2 inches, that's a lot of tropical moisture. So the atmosphere is primed for any shower or thunderstorm that develops today to produce very heavy rainfall. Overall, because of the way that the upper level pattern is developing, we'll go take a look at 300 millibars. We are going to be kind of in between this remnant of Fred leaving the region and this upper level trough. So the lifting is going to be kind of weak. So again, isolated threat of a shower or thunderstorm the rest of the way, but if you get hit by one of those showers, it's going to come down really hard because there is just a ton of moisture out there. In the meantime, this trough, well, it is going to be a very interesting evolution here. Notice this trough here is a positive tilt. Okay? That's very important to this forecast. The orientation of a trough, whether it's positive like this or negative like that, and the timing of that evolution. So when I take a look at the winds here, this is our surface wind map. There's Henri, there's Bermuda, and there's the remnants of Fred. And you can see right now, for our neck of the woods, the winds are coming in from the south, clearly pulling in the tropical air mass. Meanwhile, there's Henri starting to get his act together. But we'll take a look at some of the satellite pictures. It's under some shear. But I wanted to show you the 500 millibar winds, because this really tells the story here. The current pattern that this storm is under is such that it's kind of in between the western Atlantic ridges trying to build towards the coast, but it's going to run into this trough that's going to erode it. This part of the ridge that was under the influence, that was controlling Henri and Grace, is going to shift towards the Gulf Coast. That's going to force Grace to head right into central Mexico. No threat to the Gulf Coast, no threat to the United States, but Mexico is in a world of trouble. So prayers for those guys down there through the Yucatan Peninsula and over south central Mexico. Meanwhile, notice the upper level winds here. You see they're coming from the southwest. In order to turn this storm to do a track like that, these winds have to go from the southwest to the south to the southeast in time to capture this storm. And the only way that's going to happen is if this storm rapidly intensifies. Here's the problem. When we take a look at the latest satellite, and we'll refresh this real fast, it's a sheared storm. Your low-level circulations right around here. The bulk of your convection's to the south of the circulation because it's a strong north-northeasterly shear. And vertical wind shear is not good for a tropical system. So initially, it's going to be battling this northeasterly shear, so it's going to slow down the ability for intensification. Then, once it gets far enough west to fall under the influence of these winds, it's going to be moving over the Gulf Stream, which is very warm water, which will allow it to intensify, probably reach hurricane strength. But this strong wind component will support southerly shear. So you're under a unfavorable environment for rapid intensification. That's basically what I'm seeing here in this pattern. So when you're doing this type of forecast, it's kind of like doing a calculus problem. You work on what's known, what's unknown, and how do you figure out those unknowns based on what you know. Okay, and you plug in the knowns. One of the knowns that we do know is the pattern theme that we've had for this summer. How fast do troughs shift from a positive orientation that we have now to a negative orientation, which is needed for the storm to get captured? And usually it takes longer for that evolution to take place than what most model guidance has been suggesting this summer. So I'm taking that factor into account and basically did an average of all the model guidance. I'm leaning more towards the European, but the European's a little bit too weak. It improved in the guidance from 0Z in terms of the initialization of this storm as far as the actual strength, because yesterday's 12Z was just ridiculously too weak. The GFS, on the other hand, weakened some of its forecasts, and so it shifted the track a little bit further east. It's more focused towards southern New England. So, in my view, and I'll continue to keep an eye on this whole evolution of this whole setup here, this would likely get to about here before turning north. And once it turns north, it will fall under this vertical wind shear. And as this trough drops down, cuts off an upper level low, and pivots, that's going to allow those winds to shift to the south and eventually to the southeast. But by the time they shift to the southeast for the steering currents, Henri will probably be up parallel to about Cape May, New Jersey, and it'll be too late. But if you are in Nantucket, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, I'd keep an eye on this storm. Long Island and Connecticut, I think you'll be on the very edge of this storm. But again, we'll continue to keep an eye on the evolution, see what happens here. The overall rule is this. The stronger Henri gets, if it gets to a strong Category 2 or Category 3 hurricane or higher, which I'm not expecting, then it is going to be able to track further west. If it stays strong tropical storm, weak Category 1 hurricane, it will track further east. It may miss New England altogether. If it gets to a moderate Category 1 hurricane, let's say like 85 mile per hour winds, pretty well established outflow pattern, then most likely what you're going to get is a storm track that basically shifts, basically going due north right into Rhode Island and Massachusetts. And then while it's doing that, while it's approaching the coast, it will actually weaken because of the vertical wind shear in colder waters. So that's certainly some good news in that respect. So that's how I'm seeing this whole play out. And we'll again continue to see how all this evolves. Taking a look at the radar, let me just refresh this real fast from WeatherTap. You see our heaviest rainfall from this morning is lifting off to the northeast. There is what's left of Fred, is now an extratropical storm. It's heading out into the Atlantic. These showers right here, we're going to have to keep an eye on. This is part of that trough. That's going to set up a wet weekend for us for basically tomorrow night, Saturday, and Sunday. On the water vapor satellite picture, which we discussed, you can see the whole evolution. There's our trough evolving here with that positive tilt. There's Henri. There's Grace down here, moving through the Yucatan Peninsula, likely weakening into a tropical storm. Watch for it to rapidly move to the west towards central Mexico as a hurricane. You can already see the vertical wind shear involved here. You see that right there? And then you can see the evolution that we're going to be setting up here. Now, as this trough develops, it's going to destabilize the atmosphere. So today, isolated showers and thunderstorms. Tomorrow, isolated showers and thunderstorms. Tomorrow evening is when we start to see the rainfall start to fill in with that inverted trough starting to develop. On the infrared satellite picture, you can see pretty clearly, there is Henri, there is the remnants of Fred leaving, and here comes our cold front and whole system starting to evolve for this weekend. And you can see, let's zoom in a little bit and refresh this. For this morning, plenty of clouds around, but we'll see some breaks of sun as we move on through the day as well. So let's dive into this forecast. For today, Fred leaves. Lingering showers into this afternoon, for the most part isolated, but watch out for a heavy downpour. Temperatures rebounding into the upper 70s to mid 80s over the interior, lower to mid 80s along the coast, mid to upper 80s in the Delaware River Valley. Wave heights today on through Saturday, especially around Long Island, around 2 to 4 feet. Then things get interesting on Sunday, which we'll cover in a second. For tonight into tomorrow morning, look for scattered clouds, maybe a little bit of patchy fog here and there. Low temperatures in the mid 60s to lower 70s. For tomorrow afternoon, again, watch out for those pop-up isolated showers and thunderstorms. We'll have a heavy downpour. Temperatures ranging from the upper 70s to lower 80s over the interior. Lower to mid 80s along the coast. Mid 80s to lower 90s in the Delaware River Valley. On Saturday, we start to get that onshore flow. This is well ahead of Henri. This is basically what we call an inverted trough. Okay, so that's going to produce waves of showers, heavy at times. There is Henri on Saturday night on the European guidance. This might be a little bit too fast, but again, this is far more realistic than the forecast that was shown yesterday, where it was just kind of like this weak 1,000 millibar trough. This is far more realistic in the forecast from the European. The temperatures on Saturday, not moving all that much, looking at mid 60s to lower 70s for lows, upper 70s to lower 80s for highs. On Sunday, I like this track. Maybe a little bit further to the west, maybe like right around here, just to the south and east of Boston. So this track looks pretty reasonable considering the pattern that we're in. Meanwhile, we're going to see this trough hanging around and just make for unsettled conditions throughout the region on Sunday for us with scattered showers. A wet weekend for sure. Not the best idea for any outdoor activities this weekend. Wave heights on Sunday are going to build to around 6 to 12 feet, especially on Long Island and the Jersey Shore. So definitely be prepared for some coastal flooding, some beach erosion, regardless of the track, even if it's a little bit further east. Look for temperatures to range on Sunday from the mid 60s to lower 70s over the interior, lower to mid 70s along the coast. High temperatures will range from the upper 70s to lower 80s, possibly from mid 80s as you head towards the western suburbs of Philadelphia if we get a little bit more sunshine. Then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, basically it's the same pattern, rinse and repeat. Series of troughs moving through, isolated to widely scattered showers and thunderstorms, relatively humid but not hot. You're looking at your low temperatures through the period ranging from the mid to upper 60s over the interior, lower to mid 70s along the coast. High temperatures will range from the lower to mid 80s over the interior, upper 70s to mid 80s along the coast, and mid 80s to lower 90s in the Delaware River Valley. Those lower 90s will be possible if you get complete sunshine and you maximize your 850 millibar temperatures. Most locations will be around 87, 88 with plenty of humidity in the atmosphere, so watch out for fog in the morning. And again, those isolated thunderstorms can produce a heavy downpour or two at times. So that is the forecast that we have set up for this weekend, with focus especially on Sunday into Monday. We'll watch to see this evolution of our tropical storm. Again, the stronger Henri gets, the further west it gets. But right now, considering all the factors that we have in front of us, all the data we have in front of us, it looks like it would be smarter to go with the weaker solution given the atmospheric environment that is in place. But of course, tropical lows can always be tricky, so we're going to keep an eye on it and make sure everything works out just right. So just stay right here, and I got you covered. Have a wonderful day, and as always, stay safe out there.